what I'd like to do is just kind of introduce you and tell me a little bit about your story. And then I just want to ask you some of the questions that we've talked about before, if that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I want to spread the light
Yeah.
because so many people believe survivor is what they are, and that's a plateau.
Right.
You got through whatever's bad, but now you're on the plateau. Okay, you survived. Don't stay there.
Yeah. So like a survivor's like the first step. Like, hey, I've gone through
Yes.
this tragic or toxic environment. I've survived, but I need to thrive. It's kind of
Right.
like what you're saying. So tell me a little bit like who are you? What's your story?
Okay, my
For the
name is
people out there
Melanie
that don't know
Belliveau,
you.
and I have what I used to call a pancake pile of traumas in my life, from both things that happened to me and from health. And I ended up with anxiety and PTSD
Yeah, that
to the
makes sense.
point where it was debilitating. Like I realized, wow, I can't even handle driving anymore.
Right.
I can't walk down a flight of stairs with a glass in my hand without having flashes of falling down the stairs and cutting my throat open with the glass,
Yeah,
the
worst
broken
case
glass.
scenario. Right.
Yes. So it was every day was one of those, just get through the day. I'm a survivor. I got through this. I got through that.
Mm.
Um, I've gotten through having a child hit by a motorcycle and almost dying.
Right.
I've had domestic abuse. I've had a spouse committing suicide when they were manic. Like they're not minor traumas.
Right.
So I was at the point where I was stopped in my road by just fear. Fear was, I was like this.
Yeah.
And when the pandemic hit, wow, like I was feeling like it's hopeless. There's no hope left.
Oh, gotcha.
And yeah, I was, because of my health issues, my kids grounded me, my adult kids grounded me to the house. They said, you're not leaving the house. You're not going anywhere. You're not doing the grocery shopping anymore.
Oh my gosh.
You can't leave.
Right.
And
Well, I
my
mean, that's
thought
good
was,
that they're taking care of you and they're trying to establish healthy boundaries.
right,
Right. And it was probably an
I'm high
eye-opening.
risk.
Yeah. And it was probably an eye-opening experience for you of like, wow, they care about me this much, but should I be in this position? Should I really be where I'm at today? Did you start asking why?
Actually, no, it was more the, okay, well, the only thing I really contribute is by going to the grocery store. I handled the groceries because I live with my daughter and her family. So there's
Right.
7 of us. And that was my feeling productive. That was my being able to add to the household.
Contribute. Yeah.
Right. And because everyone was in so much fear, both me and my daughter are empaths.
Right.
And she started taking over the grocery shopping because of the pandemic. And she would have anxiety attacks in the grocery store because she could feel everybody's fear. She could feel everybody's anxiety. And it would literally, which made me feel, oh my God, even the one thing I could do now I can't do. And she's suffering because I can't do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't want to leave. I was scared. I was scared all the time, hopeless. And then I was scrolling Facebook and I came across a free workshop webinar, and it was about empowering your awakening your passion and your purpose.
Oh, okay.
So it sounded good.
Right.
And I did what most people do, and I started to scroll past it while thinking, yeah, that sounds good. Maybe sometime I'll do it. And then I stopped and I was like, I don't have an excuse. I'm grounded.
I'm grounded. I love it.
So it was like, all right, I'll
Did the
register for it.
grandkids give you a hard time because grandma's grounded?
Pretty much, they thought it was funny. At the same time, they were insistent, and there were plenty of times that I was like, I'm going to go crazy if I stay in the house.
Right.
I feel like I'm in prison.
Yeah.
So I need to do something. And for me, grocery shopping was it. Now I couldn't do
Right.
that anymore either. So I did the webinar, and the first part of the webinar was on being able to be comfortable with being on camera
Yeah.
and you're using your voice.
Right.
Now, my passion is writing,
Mhm.
big time. That's my thing. So I thought, I don't need this part. I'm not comfortable with how I look or how I sound. So I'm behind my pen. I don't need this part.
Mhm.
The universe was trying to show me something that it knew I would need later, but I wasn't listening. So the rest of it really did awaken me. And I was like, since I'm home, since I have a computer, since I have a voice in my writing, I'm going to really put myself into this.
Yeah.
And I shifted a little, just enough to say, okay, I can look forward to something.
Mm.
And I have an autoimmune, a rare genetic one. So I am now past the expiration date the medical society has given me.
Yeah.
And my thought was, how can I use that? I'm still here. Why am I still here? And if that's the case, each day is a gift.
Right. That's true.
Each single day, because I'm already past my point.
Yeah.
So if I am, that means, well, for everyone, tomorrow's not promised by anyone.
That's true.
You can't say, I know I will be alive tomorrow night. Not a single person can say, I know I will be alive tomorrow night.
That's true.
So if that's the case, every morning I decided to wake up and thank God for the gift of that day.
Mm.
And then I was like, I'm going to shift my view of the day. So I asked God 3 things. 1, what do you want me to see today? 2, what do you want me to hear today? And then, how do you want me to serve? And every single day he shows, they come in synchronicities.
Mm-hmm.
Like I will see something and go, ooh, that goes with that. And I can use that to help people.
Right.
Hello, there's the synchronicities. So every day, instead of feeling like, ooh, this could be bad. Ooh, that could be bad. Ooh, I can't do this. I can't do that. Instead, it's like watching for the good.
Right.
When you go from feeling survivor mode of, yeah, I'm strong, I can survive that, you're in a battle.
Right.
Survival is a battle. Life is not a battle, but people see it as one when they survive.
Yeah. I guess
see
it's
it
kind
as,
of like they know something bad is going to happen. They're living in
yes,
fear. What's going to be, toxic or dramatic next in my life? And it kind of, have you analyzed or thought about like the victimhood mentality that role plays as well?
it's a
That,
healing process, because yes, the victim mentality means that you're seeing all those could go wrong, did go wrong, has gone wrong. Plan B for everything. I mean, I survived domestic abuse, and that was one of the things that always have a plan B. What are you going to do? Do you got a bag packed? Can you go to this friend's house?
right.
Are you going to get a restraining order? You got to do all those plan B things
To protect yourself during that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you survive something, like even for military personnel that have survived some serious stuff, they case the landscape of wherever they are. Can I protect who's with me?
Right.
Hedges, weak points in the environment. So that's where the focus is. And the more you focus on something, the more you see of that,
Right.
till the point where you're so focused on what could go wrong, you're cheated out of hell at letting yourself see what could go right.
Yeah. And living life and living hopeful,
Yes.
finding acceptance, I think, and also forgiveness on the path too, especially for ourselves. Because a lot
Yes.
of times we don't accept who we are, and we have a lot of regret, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of guilt, and a lot of shame of, man, if I just wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't have been in this
Yep.
situation. If I wouldn't have done this, and all these things that I did wrong is how we view it a lot of times. And I think that kind of goes back to that victimhood mentality that we're all victims of certain circumstances. But
Right.
how do we overcome that? How do we become fearless? How do we become, and I always explain like a warrior or a hero. I don't know if you've ever heard me explain this before, but most of the people I talk to were in the military, and they understand like a soldier follows orders. Somebody up the chain is
Right.
telling you what to do, when to do
Right.
it, how to do it. But a warrior really forges their own path. They choose their own destiny, and they're at the
Yes.
point in their life to where they know what's ethical, what's right. But the good thing about a warrior is that, we can tear down all that armor, right? We can take off everything and be raw, be authentic, be ourselves, be genuine, and be surrounded by people that are going to protect and love us who we are today, and love
See,
who we
the
are.
surrounded, that's the part.
Yeah.
I went from trying to change my mindset
Mm.
by what I was taking in. So, Brene Brown,
Yeah.
I started getting into the TED Talks and the YouTube motivational stuff and how do you become authentic? Who is your authentic you?
Right.
What makes you thrive? What makes you feel alive? What makes you see the light in life?
Right.
And so it's what I was taking in. And then I realized, okay, I'm washing dishes with my music playlist because music makes everything better. And I realized, okay, I had a broken relationship from 2 years ago and it's still raw. Why is it still raw? Why haven't I got over it?
Mm.
And I realized when I was listening to my music, that's because I'm listening to those songs. I'm still listening to the songs about heartbreak that I related to 2 years ago when it was
Right.
a fresh broken.
Yeah. So you're replaying it in your mind constantly. You haven't moved
Yes.
past. Yeah. So what did you do? Different playlist?
Yes. I created a new one that had upbeat music, that had stuff that spoke to me.
Right.
And right down to Fearless Soul. Like I have a lot of theirs on my music playlist, and it's all motivation, making you really want to embrace life.
Yeah.
So everything I take in now, the stuff I listen to music wise, when I go to sleep at night, I put on healing music that is on YouTube's that have the beautiful pictures, like I posted the other day. I can go to sleep to that. I can meditate to that. And it just brings the light. The more you see the light, the more light you'll see.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Yeah.
And
Open
it's
yourself up to.
healing.
Yeah. So you feel like probably just a completely different person now.
I do. I am. Even my
Mm.
kids say that. Like
Yeah.
they're so proud of me. When I used to say, if it weren't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any at all. And then when I started this shift, I started getting requests on LinkedIn. Would you like to be a guest spot on my podcast?
Right.
Would you like to be a guest on our live show? And at first it was like, oh my God, you sure you got the right person? And the first one was a podcast that was recorded. So it was only voice, and it
Right.
was recorded to be edited. So I wasn't quite so nervous.
Yeah.
And the woman was a little bit late to the appointment, which you would think would be a negative. It was not a negative for me. It was a, she's human too. She's got a life too. Oh, that feels better.
Right.
So I did that. And then the next one was a live show.
Right.
And it was, can you come up with a question of a struggle you have that can help, that the answer will help other people too?
That's great.
So I went on it and I sounded like I was hyperventilating because I'm on a live show. My anxiety is up here.
Right.
And I don't like my voice or my how I look. So being on that, and I'm thinking to myself, see, you should have listened to Jane when she was talking about that on her webinar. So I went on and I asked, well, this is what I struggle with. And a lot of people struggle with how they sound and how they look.
Right.
Help me out here. This is my question. I know a lot of people suffer with it.
Right.
What can we do? And I did talk about my anxiety and my PTSD. And it was, okay, that's the ego talking. So whenever you try to reach beyond your comfort zone, the ego will try to shut you down.
Right.
If you just look at tell the ego, I know, it's okay. I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And I mean, that sounds simple, but it was what I needed.
I think a lot of that is our culture. Like, I love watching European shows and movies because they have just the average people with the crooked nose and the crooked teeth and the crooked face or whatever, and they're overweight. They're just average people. And I think part of that is America's society is that they want everybody to be beautiful and perfect with the body and the clothes. And over there, it's like they look like the person just came out of the thrift store, and that's what the clothes they're wearing are. You know, and I think that's
they're real.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why I love European shows so much is because their actors are authentic and genuine and real. They're not this super image that so many people feel like we need to portray, because that's us. You know, we all have. I got crooked nose and crooked teeth and everything. You know, but I can't sit there and focus like, oh my gosh, I wish everything about me was like perfect in a model, because then, you know, just look at nature. I'm looking outside right now and I see the trees, and the trees are crooked, and some of them, the limbs are, you know, are dying off, and some of them are thriving, and some of them are just surviving, right? They're all at different stages in their life. And I think that's the image that we need to portray, you know, especially in America, is that we're all just natural, beautiful, amazing people. My wife has always said about me, she's like, you can find the positive thing about anybody, you know?
Yes.
And I think that's the good quality that we should have about ourselves, is like, you know, we have beautiful things about us. There's beautiful qualities that we all possess. And not focus on what we would think is an imperfection, but see it as an opportunity to grow and change and just love who we are. And I know we haven't discussed this, but, you know, why do you think Americans really, really struggle? And it may be more worldwide, but I see it so much in America, with acceptance of who they really are, of who they were born into this earth to be. And why do you think that we struggle so much with just being okay with who we are?
I think part of it has to do with comparing.
Social comparison. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, one of the things I struggled with when I was working full time, I was putting in 64-hour work weeks. I was a blue collar worker, and I was still struggling. And I was like, I've always been taught, work hard and you'll be successful. Well, I'm working hard. I'm not good enough. And that's, you know, we have that so much. And if we're not real successful by
like
society standards, of any kind, like you have to get a divorce, you were a failure.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So people see those things that didn't work out or didn't work the way they thought they would as not being good enough, not being capable. And we convince ourselves we're not capable.
Yeah. And it's that social pressure. and social
Yes.
comparisons. And probably a lot is we compare, like what I just said, like when you're looking at TV and you see all these images, or even with social media, a lot of times everybody just portrays all the good things of like, oh, I'm on constant vacation, or these cars or houses
Yep.
or materialistic items. And then you're like, man, I want that. I want that life. I don't get that life. My life is far from that. So
I
that's,
actually wrote a quote that I'm going to post on LinkedIn today. It's called Competition. And I had seen something about one of the Olympic players that made me think of it, because one of my favorite movies is Ice Princess, which I wish they hadn't named it that, because a lot of people won't watch it because of the name. It's about a high schooler who has an opportunity to get a full scholarship to Harvard
mm,
because she's into physics. Physics is a tool that actually leads her to her passion of ice skating.
oh, okay.
So that movie and seeing what I saw this morning, putting them together,
Yeah,
synchronicities.
of course.
If your heart is not filled by the doing, even the win will simply feed the ego, not the soul.
Mm,
So I'm going to use that because we're all competing, compete, compete, compete. But
yeah,
if what you're doing isn't something that is a passion that fires up your soul, that fills your soul with the doing, then even the win is hollow.
yeah,
If, like, there are skaters in that movie that will say, I'm so tired of practice and practice and I don't have a life. And then others that say, what are you talking about? Don't you just want to skate all the time? It's a passion. That's the
right.
difference. If
Yeah,
you're doing something that fulfills your soul, then the wins are icing on the cake.
yeah, that's
But
true.
if you're doing all that work just for that win, what happens when you don't?
Yeah, yeah.
How does that make you feel when you don't? And even when you do win, now you got to
Win
compete on the
again.
next level.
Yeah, I got to win again and again. One of my favorite quotes is release your attachments to success and failure. And a lot of times when I say that, it shocks people and it puts them into a completely different mode. But I kind of give the analogy of, I'm from Kansas City. I'm not into sports, and it always took me a while to even remember like what team is what. But like the Royals are the baseball team. I finally figured this out, 16 years later, and the Chiefs are the football team. But when the Royals win the baseball thing, the World Series, there's a
Yeah,
parade. And then when the Chiefs win like the Super Bowl, there's a parade. But I said, how come they don't have parades every year just to celebrate all the wins that they did do, all the
right.
victories, all the challenges? And I think that's how it is in our life, that we need to celebrate, the losses as much as we do the wins, because without those losses, we would never have any wins. And we become so attached to everything in our life as a success, whether way we cooked our food,
Yes.
the way we dressed, haired. How did I do my hair today? What watch
Yep.
did I wear? Everything has to be a success or a failure. And it's not that way in life. We need to
Keep,
just release those attachments to those successes and those failures
yes.
so we can be in the moment. So me and you can be just present right here, and realize not every podcast, not every video, not everything's going to be perfect.
Right.
you
Well,
know,
I was on, after doing some of the shows that I was on, um, I went on one that had presented itself to me on Facebook. It was a competition for public speaking. And at first I had something that was already aligned for that time frame. So I was like, nope, can't even do that.
right,
And then the other thing canceled and I saw the ad again and I was like, maybe that's the universe saying try it.
right,
So I didn't even know, all right, what do you get if you win? I didn't care about any of that. It was just out of fun.
right,
Because at this point I had a message to share about feeling inspired, feeling better, and sharing that PTSD doesn't mean a forever type of thing.
mm-hmm.
So I had a good message. So the thing was do a 1 minute video. And if they accept it, you get into the second round.
Right.
So they accepted it. And then it was, you were on a Zoom. They put you in breakout rooms and they had judges. And you had to do your 1 minute thing live.
Wow.
Yeah, now it was not so much in my head about the message. It was more my presentation. And
Yeah.
I fell flat on my face.
Oh,
I stammered, and then a noise hit in the Zoom, and that faltered me. And I fell on my face and I said, can I just start over? And as soon as I said those words, I knew, no, you can't. You have 1 minute to do your
right.
thing. So the judge was really nice. She said, just keep going. So I did, but I knew I'd blown it.
Right.
But I learned from that. So
Yeah.
that was a failure. But what I got out of it was a quote that I posted. Your reaction to your failures is more important than your wins.
That's true. That's a good quote. Yeah, because failure is feedback. And how do we view that
Yes.
upon ourselves? How do we take that feedback and transform and improve?
It was more valuable for me to fail on that than
Mhm.
it would have been for me to be a success.
Yeah.
I am glad that I took the universe's suggestion to join.
Right.
And I'm glad for that noise. I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that noise that threw me on my face. And if anybody was going to fall in that one thing, I'm glad it was me, because
Yeah.
I didn't go, oh my God, I'm such a failure. Oh my God, I can't show myself. And, I can't do this anymore. It didn't do that to me.
Right.
It became a learning experience because your message is more important than your presentation.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. The impact. Well, what else do you want to discuss today that we haven't discussed? I love your concepts, your understanding of the victimhood, of not just being stuck in survival mode. That's our first step. We've got to move past it and move on. I mean, because I know so many of us get stuck in that mode. And I really appreciate your concepts, your perception of that. But is there anything that we didn't discuss that you'd like to discuss over that topic this morning?
I want people to know that if your day after day is a struggle, if that's all you're seeing, there is so much more to life. If you start looking just for those little synchronicities, just those little signs, by asking in the morning, what can I see today? What can go right today? Never, ever, ever ask, what else can go wrong?
I love it.
Because you're asking the universe to show you what else can go wrong.
You're right.
Ask, what do you want me to see that's good? And watch for it. Just watch for it. And the more you watch for that, the more of it you'll see. And it'll be like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. And every day becomes a gift.
I love it. I love it. Just changing your perspective and finding gratitude first thing in the morning.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate you so much. I love you. Thank you so much for this connection. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you for just being yourself, being raw, authentic, and just sharing your lights in your journey.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You are a big light. I mean, the
Oh,
first time I met you on the Zoom, I could feel it. You have a peace about you, and the peace is connected to the light. The more light you see, or the more light you give, the more peace you feel in your soul. And
yeah.
you radiate it.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you for all you do.
Yeah. Well, I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you. I agree.
All right.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Love you too. Bye.